Hey, good morning, guys. Yes, it is. It's Saturday, the 16th of May. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I thought about talking about customers and how to deal with them the best way and the right way, and that's communication. So, stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. And yes, this is the weekend. We never go off the rails, but today we're going to kind of stay on point of talking about customer relations. But today is Saturday, the 16th of May of 2026. Customers don't expect perfection from you. A lot of shops think that that's what they got to do is they got to be spot on about everything. And that's not so much what the expectations are of the customer. The customer does want to be kept in the loop. If there's delays, why is there delays? We got to have our lawnmower back and stuff. You know, I always like it if I'm able to get stuff fixed and out before I get a call from a customer or a text or an email asking if it's done yet. Are you going to get those ones that drop it off in the morning and then expect it in the afternoon? Yes, but you need to set the expectations of it may be a couple days before I can get to it. And if you still get to it that day, it gives you a couple days to do cold starts. But if you're a weekend and you have had no communication with the customer may have called, left a message, sent you a message and text, and you didn't respond. That's the worst thing you can do. Is you need to respond and respond honestly. If there's a delay, what is the delay? Is it because you're shorthanded or you've got too much work on your plate right now? Try to be as honest as possible without being snarky, okay? The biggest thing that I see with my customers is when I'm talking to them, if there is a delay coming on it and there's a reason for that delay, I get a hold of them before they get a hold of me, and then I put it back into their court of what you want to do. And case in point, we've got an old Craftsman rear tine tiller. It's been sitting in storage for probably 15 years. It belonged to the fella's dad. The gas tank was solid rust. The carburetor was junk. And trying to get another carburetor to fit that is like, I don't even want to start, right? It's the one that goes in the bottom, bolts to the fuel tank and is updrafts. So we went back and forth of how to fix this issue. And the cheapest way out for him would be if we went to Harbor Freight, got a Predator engine, put a Predator on it, and off he'd go. So we had called him and said, look, here's what we're up against. What do you want to do? And he said, well, let me give me a couple of days to think about it. You've done your part. That customer isn't going to be calling you wanting to know if it's done because you've left it in their court of what do you want to do next. Do you want to proceed with the Predator or do you want to stop or do you want to sell it as is? You know, because we'll turn around, buy it, throw a Predator engine on it, and sell it to somebody. I mean, he can do it just easily as we can. I'd rather have the labor and the sale of parts and labor from the customer than I would to try to resell it, but the resell option is there. And we ran into that yesterday as well is we have a lot of regular customers, okay? And a lot of my customers are related to each other. We stopped yesterday to drop off a cubby, and she's like, "You guys just finished my brother's lawnmower," and I was like, "Who's that?" So she said, "It's the John Deere mower." Oh yeah, 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 yep. That was John. The He stole the lawnmower because he ended up with a fairly new Lowe's John Deere riding mower that he found for sale somewhere, but the thing was mint for 150 bucks. It was 162 to do a complete service on it. And when the brother-in-law dropped it off for him and telling me how much he paid for it, I said, I'll pay you 300 right now. Unload it, and he'll double his money. And he said, nah, he's not interested in selling. He wants this more for camp. Again, it's communication. And how do you communicate best with your customers? Treat them like friends. You don't want to piss off a friend any more than you do a customer. And sometimes it is what it is, right? But if you have a good form of communication with people, and I hear this all the time, well, it's hard to get a hold of this person. Well, there's more than one way to skin a cat. If you have a cell phone number, you can text it or you can leave a voice message or call a couple times and hang up, and that person will see your number. You can message through Facebook if they're on your Facebook or you find them in Facebook. You can do email with customers. I do that a lot. But I would say the bulk of it is Facebook. Facebook is where I get a lot of people will ask to be on my friends list. And once I say okay, if they're mutual friends with other people, then all of a sudden it's, can you work on this area? So Facebook has been my best means of keeping everybody in the loop of what's going on, and it's quick. I can open Messenger and just start shooting messages at different ones. So why is it so important to have that line of communication? Because it's more so than it used to be. It used to be all you had was just a phone, right? And then came the high end cell phones. It was actually a bag phone that plugged into your cigarette lighter, and it had an antenna on top of your roof, and it was stupid money a month. I mean, just crazy. And the range, you never had the range. Let's put it that way. So I mean, the only reason not to communicate, there is none. There's none. You know, if somebody's asking about their mower and they just drop it off in the morning, explain to them if you haven't already. I told you it's going to be a couple of days before I can get to it. And I always tell people a couple of days. And that's because of you, Jason, because you said do a cold start at least twice on it before you let it go. Because the problems aren't going to develop after it's warmed up and you've adjusted the valves and this and this and that. No, it's when it's sat overnight, cooled down, and now you're going out with a cold start. The engine's cold, and see if she'll fire right up. If she doesn't fire right up, then you got to figure out something different. You know, Claude always comes up with like, well, we could toggle this or toggle that. And I'm like, I'm not into toggling. Fix it right. And that way, you know, I want it so that it's just like what the customer had when they picked it up at Tractor Supply or Lowell, Home Depot. I want it to work the way it's supposed to work. Not with a bunch of, you gotta hold your jaw a certain way or a hand this way, or simply if it has slow, fast choke on the same control, I want that choke to work perfectly every time, and I want it to come back and drop into that slot so that it's where it needs to be at high idle or high run for mowing. We used to have a lot of problems, and it was because of communication. And I can tell you the worst one, and this is on me, was we had a Ford 4000 that a guy wanted to have done, and it was seized up. And we brought it to the shop, and we started picking and running the scope inside the piss or the spark plug hole to see what the cylinders looked like. And we found actual snake skins inside the on top of the pistons. And it was one of those things where we were kind of hoping we get that for a winter job because it's when we do most of the engines, but we didn't. We told the guy, yeah, we take it on. And I'll tell you, it sat at our place for a month and a half, and the guy watched us work on other people's equipment and not his. And he just showed up one day, very irate, threatening to call the cops. He wanted his tractor back to his house today, and he was in the right. Okay, he wasn't in the right by the way he was acting. He was in the right because I didn't communicate with him fully on why we hadn't got that far, and that it's a bigger job than what he thought. It's just not just a simple break it free and put new plugs in it and off you go. I mean, we couldn't even. Kept putting PB Blaster in on top of the heads. We had a guy tell us to take Coca-Cola and pour a bottle of each, one bottle into each cylinder, and then let it sit for a week. That didn't do it. Then it's wooden blocks. Take a wooden block and a mallet. So we ended up having hard feelings, and he was a neighbor. Okay, so I took her right back and put it right in his yard, and next thing I knew, he had taken it to another friend of ours that had a machine shop. And I'm glad that he did because even he was telling us, because the neighbor finally relaxed a little bit and asked if he could pick his tractor up and bring it home. And I said, that's the least we can do. So we went out, and he was telling me that he tore that engine right down, and he had used the big presses to press the pistons out of the cylinders. They were just like welded in there. And it ended up costing the neighbor more than I thought the tractor was worth. But to each their own, right? See, I worry about that too. I don't want to spend somebody else's money if I wouldn't spend it myself. And in his case, he just wanted that tractor running. To me, his age, he's 77, he'd be farther ahead to sell the two tractors he's got in the yard and go out and buy a newer one that has all the amenities and use the damn thing and not let it just sit for a whole year. I don't think the guy's moved it once since he got it back from the other friend. But now he'd like us to come down because it won't start. So Monday morning we're going to drag it down to the shop, drain all the gas out of it, put fresh gas in, check the points condenser, and see if we can get it to fire up and get it back to him and parked so that when he gets back from his trip to see his sister, it's there and running. How do you guys communicate with your customers? Do you keep them in the loop, or do you find that you get so busy that you forget and then next thing you know, they're calling or showing up? I've had that happen before too. Today's not going to be a very long video. Yesterday morning I was going into the shop and I stepped just wrong on the concrete porch and I twisted my back. And it's been a royal pain for the last 24 hours. Yeah. So today I'm going to try to do as little as possible. It says your spasm in your back that could last 24 to 48 hours. And the worst thing you can do is stretch and try to work it out. It's lay on your back. Who knows? But on that note, you guys have a great Saturday, and we'll probably come up with something for the Sunday sermon. You guys enjoy your Saturday.